Right. Yeah, this I can't see the screen thing when I'm wearing my sunglasses is really irritating. What are we talking about today? Oh yes, I want to talk about reusable rockets, but we're actually just about to head out. We're going to have a sort of day of cycling and family fun. You know, it's a Sunday, so it's going to be good fun. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully there'll be some ice cream, but also some reusable rockets, because what's quite interesting is that Rocket Lab have announced that they are going to start recovering their Electron first stage booster, which is, they've got a different approach to it than SpaceX, but it may well be the way to go for them, and I think there are some pretty solid reasons why it probably is the way to go for them, because the Electron rocket is basically tiny compared to the Falcon 9. But I do think the whole thing sort of marks a very interesting shift in the way rockets are developed and designed. It's been a long time coming. It's that shift from rockets as some kind of odd peculiarity, a kind of firework essentially, and turning them into more of an actual vehicle, something that you make iterative changes to. You're recovering the vehicle so you can see what happened during its previous launch, make those updates and changes, and then off to the stars, literally. Right, we're off to the park. Bit of a low impact day today, I think. I am trying to get back into doing this a bit more regularly, but I'm finding it quite tricky. I think I'm just out of the habit, honestly. It does take quite a lot of continuous concentration to hold a train of thought, a basically single train of thought across the day. Let's get back to this whole rocket thing. So, what's exciting is that rocket companies appear to slowly but surely be embracing the concept of reusability. Why then is Rocket Labs doing such a different kind of reusability to, say, SpaceX? SpaceX propulsively land their boosters. Rocket Lab, they're thinking parachute, catch it in the air with a helicopter. No re-entry burn at all, nothing to slow it down except friction, which is, you know, they're taking a risk there. It's going to get toasty, especially at the sort of the supersonic, the edges basically, as they cut into the airflow. You're going to get, you know, plasma. Somebody calling me? No, nobody's calling me. That's good. I'm supposed to be watching some kids as well, and all the bags and everything else while everyone gets lunch. Yeah, so basically the core difference is the size. Because the rocket is smaller, it means that its mass to surface area is more favourable, because basically what you want is something like a fairing, something that weighs very little but has a lot of surface area, and that way it'll slow down very quickly in the upper atmosphere and not experience anything like the same level of heating on re-entry. Now, the reason probably why SpaceX don't try to catch their fairings once they're on parachute from the air, which in theory sounds like it might be a lot more reliable than trying to aim for a boat that's moving and rolling in the North Atlantic. The problem is, because the fairing's got such large surface area, it would be pretty unstable on the bottom of a helicopter. You know, just basically, it's like a great big sail or something. It would catch the wind, most likely. It certainly could catch the wind, and then, you know, tip the helicopter off its center of gravity and, you know, crash. The actual SpaceX rocket, they originally did look at trying to use a parachute and it would splash down in the ocean. And the core problem here is the thing weighs, I think, something like 20 plus tons when empty of fuel, which is really too much weight. The Electron first stage is very much a significantly lighter thing. What have I been called? I have to go get some food, so we'll continue this later. One small problem, I only had one job. I was keeping up with the kids, and I've no idea where they are. This is extraordinarily good exercise. So here's the thing. What gets me most excited about reusing rockets is not that Rocket Lab will make a little bit more money or save a little bit of cost and resources or anything along those lines. It's mainly because of the change in attitude that comes from using a vehicle more than once. It turns rockets from fireworks into real vehicles. And when you're developing real vehicles, what you tend to do is you use it, see how it's working, whether you like it, make the changes you need to. Like, for example, SpaceX found some cracks in turbopump blades back in the sort of early Falcon 9 days. They made some changes so that didn't happen anymore. The only reason they knew those cracks were there is because they got the rocket back. You can see it in the way they develop rockets with their sort of little hoppers, and once the hoppers are all sorted out, they go higher and higher and higher, and then they start building a full-size one. And ultimately, the end result is it's much more reliable. I strongly believe that. If I had a choice of going on a first-use Falcon 9 or a reused Falcon 9, I would go for the reused one every time. Maybe not if it'd been reused 3 or 4 times, because SpaceX haven't flown a lot of those yet, so there's not a lot of track record. It's that reuse thing. It just fundamentally changes the way that these things are developed, and ultimately leads to much, much better and therefore cheaper and more reliable rockets. And that's super exciting, because reliability and cheapness are the core barriers to space and rockets being much more useful. Hang on a second. Henry, we're not going that way, we're going back to the car. Jazzy, back this way, please. But here's the thing about getting to space. It's such a finely tuned thing to try and do. You can't just say, right, well, propulsive landing, that's the way to go for every size booster out there. If the Electron tried to do propulsive landing, there'd be virtually no payload left. And that's why they're not going to do it. They're going to try and put a balloon out the back, a supersonic balloon, to increase the drag and try and slow the thing down even quicker in the upper atmosphere. Ultimately, it's going to get a bit toasty, but they'll learn from the experience, and if they can make it work, what they will have is hopefully a much greater sort of cadence of launches, because it's more about, I think, actually getting the hardware back for reuse than it is necessarily the saving of money. They don't want a massive, great rocket factory. What they want is lots of launches, however. Jasper, come on, bring the bike over here and get it in the back of the car. Hang on, helmet. Well, we've had an awesome old day, we really have. I wish Rocket Lab the best of luck with their reusability efforts. It'll be quite exciting seeing them catching a rocket with a helicopter. That I am looking forward to. I hope you've all enjoyed today's video. If you have, remember to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you don't already. And I'll see you in the next episode of the vlog. Bye. I've just been catching up on comments and stuff like that, and you know what? I really am going to have to try and do a stint of daily again. I don't know about continuing that long term, but for a while, yeah, it's time to go daily. Better get on with some editing then.